Hello, class. This is Professor Satterwhite, of course, and this is essentially how we're going to do the rest of our class. I know this isn't ideal for a lot of you. Some of you, this might work out great, but personally, I have a little bit of trouble with the online learning environment, not so much in the classroom itself, but I think that when you take a face-to-face class, it's a lot different than the online version. That said, we're going to try our best to work through this, and we're going to try our best to get through the situation as best we can. I think, as we all know, that this was an unprecedented move by the university, by Florida, and by the world. When we left for spring break, I don't think anyone could have predicted any of this, whether it be the multi-week closure of the school and then moving into the entire semester. I've heard schools over in California and other places have went ahead and made the decision to close schools for the entire year. So who knows? Who knows how this is going to go? But for us, this is where we are right now. Where I am right now is kind of interesting for me, at least. I am actually at the F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda Fitzgerald Museum over in Montgomery. And the reason I'm here is because I was originally traveling when all of this stuff started to change rapidly by the day. And as I was traveling to do some interviews in New York City, as you know, things changed. And as all of this stuff was coming down, crumbling, then we were left in all these odd places here and there trying to piece our lives together, just like everyone else has, trying to make our way home. And one of the places that I ended up was Montgomery, and turns out that you can stay over at the F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda Fitzgerald Museum for fairly cheap. Actually, a lot cheaper than any of the hotels we were staying at before. So I'll show it to you in the background. See it over there. Anyway, I'll see if I could post a video of our room sometime later for those who are interested. And I have to say, it's really neat to be able to do some writing from the location that the author of The Great Gatsby lives. So on a personal note, it's, it could be worse for sure, but it's still interesting. And my kids are really, really aching to get back home. They want to see the dog. They want to see the cat. They want to, they just want to get back home, and we do too. Knowing that home now was going to be a lot different, considering all of these closures that are happening and everybody hunkering down. So what else do you have to do except for try your best to make things normal and get back to your regular patterns, which for us includes finishing up this semester. So I just wanted to give you a little quick overview of some of the things that we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. So for our Intro to Lit class, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at zines in the next couple of weeks. This after the midterm, we're going to be looking at zines in the next couple of weeks. We are going to read the book The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin. I think you'll like this. This one's a fairly short read, but it's also a really powerful read too. And I think I would have had trouble reading this without knowing a lot of this issues around symbolism in that text. So we'll look at that, and we'll look at this, and we'll discuss how to read the book. And then lastly, we're going to end up with a graphic novel. So as far as our class goes, if we had to have a major pandemic, this is not a bad place in our class to have it. For me personally, this is going to be a lot of the fun reads we are going to look at. I have videos from previous classes that I'm going to recycle just to make it a little bit easier. So you may see a couple references to things from a couple years back that don't necessarily make sense for what we're doing, but they still work for the rest of the class. So hopefully you'll be able to bear with that. And otherwise, that's kind of it, as far as the things we're looking at. I will mention that we're having the midterms coming up. Midterms, as you know, I moved the due date back 1 week, so you will do the midterms next week. And I've also simplified the midterms. I went ahead and took out the parts in the midterms about literary terminology. I figure that we'll just do a class on that. We'll talk about literary terminology and one less thing to stress out over. What you are going to do, though, is a timed exam on with one of the four one of the 4 prompts that I listed. So if you know those 4 prompts and you think you can write about those within an hour, then an hour and 15 minutes, then just make sure that you study up on those and make sure that you can do it, practice it a couple times, practice it times, and then we'll go from there. It's going to be set up in the quiz section, and that's essentially going to be our midterm. So it's not too difficult, but it does require that you understand the text that you've read previously. So if you didn't brush up on them, and you should be okay. All right, I don't want to say that I want to make the next couple weeks easy, but I want to make it as easy as possible for you. It's still a college course, and you still need to be able to walk out of here with the basic understanding and knowledge that you would have for any other college course. So that said, I want to make sure that you have a good understanding of literature and at least how to read literature. So when you walk out of here, assuming we'll all go back to class one day, that you'll be better people for it. So just a couple little things I wanted to show you before we go into the zines, because I'm already prefacing the zines. I assume that you understand about midterms and how those work. So I just wanted to do a couple things here. I happened to come across this one little bookstore over in Asheville, North Carolina on my trips, and I found this one zine, Doris, over there. It's a small zine in this little bookshop. Now that you know what zines are, or you will know what zines are, I think you might find them in a couple other smaller places if you're interested. But this is one of the more famous ones. Not as famous as Comet Bus, but definitely one of the more famous ones. This one is her 32nd issue. It came out in 2016. But also, going further back in the store, I happened to find this, and this is part of the underground press. This is one called Slingshot. This came out originally started in I believe the 1970s, early 1970s, and it's continued for a long time. It's one of the mainstays for this one bookstore over in San Francisco, and it's published around the country. And if you're interested, they have a free subscription to it. I got this for free. That's one, not quite a zine, but in the family of a zine. And then going further back into the family of zines, I have this one here. I was so stoked to find this. And this is a zine called, I wouldn't really call it a zine, honestly. I called it a journal. But this is a journal called Fire. This is from the Harlem Renaissance and features our good friends. Let me see if I can find him here. You're probably going to guess who it is. Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes is in here. This was published in the 1920s and is a very rare find. I was incredibly stoked to find this. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit of that and show you some of the things that I found while I was traveling around. I'll come back to this when we have a little more discussion on zines. I have a video posted right now that's a video on Comet Bus, and I think that'll be helpful for you to understand Comet Bus, but knowing that we're not going to be in class in a way that we can talk about zines, then I'm probably going to have another video to help you understand zines. So when you enter into that realm, which most of you probably are familiar with, that you'll be able to understand that in the context of a literature course. So where does this fit? Where do these fit into that context? And how do we define literature itself? These are questions that we're asking throughout the class, but this will be one that we definitely answer when we look at, or we help try to answer when we look at the zines, and then also towards the end when we look at graphic novels. So at any rate, I wanted to give you a little bit of my COVID-19 tour 2020, and just to pass on my concerns, that I'm concerned about all of you. I hope that you're all doing well, and I hope that for the next couple weeks we're able to get things together at the university and in our personal lives. If you need anything at all, please feel free to send me emails, and please feel free to get in touch with me. I know this is a very trying time for all of us, and I want to make this as easy as possible for us. So knowing that this is, again, unprecedented. So all I can say is that we'll figure this out, and if you stick with me throughout the rest of the class, then you're probably going to be okay. All right, so again, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off here at the F. Scott Fitzgerald House, and I hope you're doing well. My thoughts are with you.